Okay, councillors, welcome to this ordinary council meeting of 26 March 2025. Can I call upon Councillor Redwood to make the civic affirmation?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I will do that. We, the councillors of the Armidale region, declare that we will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of our community and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment.
Thanks very much, Councillor Redwood. Short notice. And Councillor Imad for the acknowledgement of country. Thanks very much, Councillor Imad. I'll call upon the General Manager to make a statement regarding live streaming.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recordings of the non-confidential parts of the meeting will be made available on the website. No other persons are permitted to record the meeting unless specifically authorised by Council to do so. And can we set all mobile phones to silent, please? Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks very much, Mr General Manager. Councillors, we've received one apology for this meeting, and that's from Councillor Witters. Other than that, I note everyone else is here. Councillors, having reviewed the agenda, do any of you have a conflict of interest to declare? No? Okay, thank you. Well, the first formal item of this council meeting is the confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting on 26th of February 2025. Can I have a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor McMichael, and the seconder can be Councillor Imad. Councillor McMichael, anything to say in that regard?
None, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Imad. All right, councillors, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour of accepting those minutes? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Councillors, we have a mayoral minute. This has come in late, so for those watching at home, this mayoral minute isn't in the business papers, but it's in regard to the General Manager recruitment, and it's an update of that. My recommendation is, and what this mayoral minute is seeking, is to suspend the current recruitment process until the end of this calendar year, and to offer our current General Manager, James Roncon, a 12-month contract of employment before returning to the market. I've laid out in the minute, and this will be available in the notes. In the minutes, the reasons why. But just in summary, these are the steps that we took in regards to the recruitment of a general manager. So the formal advertising took place commenced on the 16th of January 2025 and ran for approximately 3 weeks. In that period, the recruiter, Capstone Recruitment, they received 54 applications. They then provided us with a long list of 15 possible candidates from that application pool and for consideration, which was then refined down to a short list of 7 candidates. The General Manager recruitment panel then selected 4 of those candidates for an interview, for first round interviews. 2 of those were done via Teams and 2 were face-to-face. And then from those interviews, we then selected 2 candidates to undertake an emotional intelligence diagnostic and to present to the council as a whole. And that presentation took place on the 17th of March. Following those presentations, it was agreed in general discussion that we probably would be best going to market again. And where possible, I should speak with our General Manager to see if we could extend his tenure. So that's where we've landed. James agreed to an additional 12 months. And it's important to note, and this is for the community to understand as well, there are a number of factors really influencing this decision. So the first is there is a significant number of General Managers or CEOs roles currently being advertised in New South Wales and Victoria in particular, but also the wider market. In 12 months' time, a number of general managers will have had 3 years tenure in their current roles, so that's probably going to make them more amenable to changing. And also we have the upside of being able to socialise that we are looking for a general manager. So I thank you all for your support, and as chair I move this minute, but I'd just throw that open to any discussion that any of you wish to make. All right, well, Councillor Redwood.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. No, I was just saying that this is a very sensible move for us to make, and I commend your mayoral minute, and trust that all of our colleagues here do as well.
Excellent. Right. Councillor McMichael.
Yes, I agree with my colleague and with your mayoral minute, Mr. Mayor. I think that we appreciate the both the interests of all the people concerned with the role of the recruitment, and I appreciate the that the general manager is staying on for a year, and thank everybody for the process, and look forward to the year-long ability to think about what happens next. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Imad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering, is there an exit clause first? Thank you, James, for giving us the 12 months. But is there an exit clause if someone comes in who's a fantastic candidate in 6 months' time?
We haven't.
I know it's.
There isn't anything in his current contract because that hasn't been written up, but it probably at this point would involve a similar reverse headlock than he was put into in getting our current general manager to extend his tenure. But we can look into it. Thank you. All right, councillors, all those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously, and I thank James for his good grace. Thanks. Councillor, putting the cork back in the champagne bottle is always difficult. Councillors, item 7.1, ethical decision making. This is a standing item, and it's to guide us in making these ethical decisions. We are being asked to note this report, and I'm sure it has been read and digested. Could I have a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. Seconded, Councillor Imad. Any questions, comments, Councillor Redwood? Councillor Imad? No? All right. Councillors, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour of noting that report? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 7.2 is the Council Actions Report, which summarises the actions taken on Council resolutions since the inception of this Council on October 2024. Council is being asked to note the report. The details are from page 7 of the agenda and 20 of the attachment. Can I have a mover, please, for something? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. Seconder is Councillor Gadders. Councillor Redwood, anything you wish to say?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gadders? No. All right, councillors, let's put that one to the vote. All those in favour of noting that report? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously as well. Item 7.3 is the councillor staff interaction policy. So the policy provides guidance and support for councillors and staff as to how they interact when going about their duties, and it's seeking council's endorsement to place the policy on public exhibition, noting that there are no substantive changes from the current policy. Details are from page 8 of the agenda and 43 of the attachments. So can I have a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Endres, and seconded Councillor Imad. Councillor Endres, anything to say?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Imad?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No. All right, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. We now go to item 9.1, which is relates to a development application at number 66 Varley Court. This has come about because council is being asked to determine the development application as it proposes a variation in the development standard under the Armidale Regional LEP. So consent is being sought subject to various conditions. We have the details on page 11 of the agenda and from page 50 of the attachments. So there is a recommendation on the screen outlining the steps to bring this about. Can I have a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. Seconded, Councillor Imad. Councillor Redwood, anything to say?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Imad?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 10.1 relates to the endorsement of the Advancing Our Region Community Plan. So Council is being asked to note the community submissions received during the exhibition period and endorse the final copy of the community plan. So we have details from page 24 of the agenda and 86 of the attachments. Can I have a mover, please? So there's a recommendation on the screen. Thanks, Councillor Gadders. A seconder was Councillor Redwood. Anything to say, Councillor Gadders?
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, thank you for there was only limited community submissions back on this document, but thanks to those involved. You know, those were duly noted, and you can see there from the information they're available if anyone wants to look deeper. But the Advancing Our Region Community Plan is something that we use as a foundation, obviously, to move forward and make sure that you know, the council is doing the best by the community, and as we go forward in spending the dollars and preparing the budgets and that towards a community plan. So, thank you to all.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Redwood.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Robinson.
I'd like to move an amendment, and if it's possible, and that should come up on the screen, which is basically that a couple of things with this community plan. One was to check the closing the gap statistics, and also to add a baseline for the 2022 to 2023 community plan in the how do we know we've arrived section, so we can see the continuity of what happened in the previous council and look at our trends and our more informed baseline. So if I can get a seconder for that.
Well, we'll first of all go to the movers and seconders and see if they're happy to accept that before seeking a seconder. Councillor Robinson, can you please turn yours off? Councillor Gadders.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. While it seems reasonably small amendment, if I could perhaps, through you, Mr. GM, ask the most appropriate staff member if there's any additional work in this. We have a document, to my mind, that says it's been prepared. We've put it on public exhibition. We've got the community's feedback, so I think we're in a very good closed position. But I'd like to understand if doing this particular amendment is going to add any more large amount of time and effort to staff's day.
Thanks, Councillor Gadders. Chief Officer Hutton.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The difficulty with having this in the community plan is we're having trouble finding regular and reliable statistics to report on. We can find it at a national level, but we can't find it at a local level at this point. So we are considering a measure in our yearly operational plan around this, if we can find that data, and staff are working on that. So that's behind the removal of it, that we can only report at a national level, not a local level. So it's not a reliable gauge of how we're tracking as a region.
So does that answer or partly answer your question about what we're looking at?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, it does answer my question. I don't believe, therefore, Councillor Robinson, we need that additional piece. And if there is certainly a mismatch in, you know, if it's apples to oranges, let's not confuse the picture. And so therefore, I'd suggest we don't go forward with that particular amendment that's currently in yellow.
Okay. So that comes back to, so that's a no. It comes back to Councillor Councillor Robinson, too many R's. you've put forward an amendment. Do you want to speak a little bit about it before, just precisely what it is before you seek a seconder, or just so a seconder might know what they're looking for?
Yeah, well, I can speak briefly about it because I've gone through the baseline statistics in this plan and in the previous community plan, and the actual categories are almost identical. So I don't see any particular difficulty in actually looking at what happened 2 or 3 years ago compared with what's happening now. And I think as a statistician, I would say that provides a much more reliable baseline. And one good example would be the number of emergency department presentations which we've already got. And we know that in the previous baseline was something like 16,098. And now, because obviously of various things like COVID, we've gone up to 19,240. So although we were trying to go forward, we've actually gone substantially backwards. And knowing that is a good way of looking at whether our policies work or whether they don't work. And therefore, just knowing how we are tracking, and it makes much more sense to have a look at the whole time series rather than just one baseline, which may be an aberrant value or it may not, but it certainly helps us understand what's going on.
Councillor Robinson, if I can suggest, it's probably the word closing the gap, which is nationally known as a particular measure. Is that all you're looking for? And I think that's what Chief Officer Hutton answered when she was talking about it at a national level.
Yeah.
Are you only looking at one measure, or are you looking at every item that's listed there, where I think in the pages it's along the lines of how we know we've arrived and we have a baseline? Are you suggesting we just have a second column, an additional column, which is from the 2022 to 2032 CP?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. We have an additional column for every single one. But I will explain quickly about the closing the gaps.
Just maybe not. I think I just want to know, because we are now getting into it, you'll need a seconder and then we can discuss in more detail. But I just wanted clarity because I wasn't clear what you were seeking. I don't think Chief Officer Hutton's response was clear about that either in relation to Councillor Gatter's question. So, Councillor Redwood, if you wanted to ask Chief Officer Hutton if she could expand on that with greater clarity about what's being offered, that might be useful, in addition to anything else.
I had a question following Councillor Gatter's as the seconder, and it was about impact of having to do this. I mean, I'm not sure. As you said, you don't really have the data that's localised anyway, but even if we did, I mean, what sort of impact does this have? And then the second question is, would this not mean that we'd have to go back out to community consultation once we've gone through this? We've actually substantially changed what we've already put out and socialised.
Yep.
So that's a sort of a process question as well as an impact question.
Okay, look, we're probably jumping around a bit too much. So can we get a seconder so we can discuss and maybe ask some questions? Thanks, Councillor McMichael. So it's seconded there. We'll throw back to you before we vote on it. So we'll throw back to you, Councillor Robinson. Now it's been seconded. And if you could maybe just clarify exactly what it is that you're seeking, that would be really useful.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think all we're looking at is adding a little bit more data. So it's not the policies we're changing. And obviously, maybe if we were changing policies, then it would have to go out for community consultation. But all we're doing is changing the presentation and putting in available data to make the community plan more informative. So where we were 2 years ago, where we are now, and where we hope to be headed. And it just makes so much sense because sometimes there are trends out with our control. And just knowing, so having a single year as a baseline doesn't make as much sense as having 2 or 3 years as a baseline. And so I think it just makes so much sense and it makes it so much easier to read. And then you don't have to go back and look at the annual report and the previous plan. And having the information in one place makes life easy for councillors, it makes life easy for the community, because they know what the community plan is then, and it just makes it more sense. But I will say one thing about the closing the gap statistics, and I think the problem is not the availability of the data, because they're all in the ABS census data for our region. What's happened is that there's been a typo in there, and because we haven't been able to compare the previous year with the current year, that typo has gone unnoticed for all the time it's been out on community consultation, all the time it's been checked. But in the current plan, it says that only 1.8% of First Nations people have actually managed to complete year 12. And we know in the previous plan it was 45.3%. So there is an obvious error there, and that obvious error needs to be corrected. Because, and again, it's just making sure that we know where we are, getting the stats right, and just hoping we can have a community plan that helps us guide us in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor McMichael, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Only that I think it's good to have comparisons, and if we can get them, it's great. I mean, if we can't, and I understand the staff say it's difficult, but if we can, it's terrific.
Thanks.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, if we already collect the data on a regular basis, so adding in another comparison from a couple of years ago shouldn't be difficult. We should have that data. The reason we've had to work so much on refining the measures this year is because in some instances we have trouble finding reliable data sets, and we seem to be jumping around from source to source. So therefore we weren't comparing apples to apples each time. And then we run into the problem of then our stats not being consistent and potentially reporting on misinformation. So I can certainly look at editing that and adding an additional column to put previous data in wherever we can. We want to avoid having too many gaps with, no information available. Sorry, I thought your inquiry was more specifically around the closing the gap information.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak on?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe I can speak now that this is an amendment. Look, guys, I'm not opposed to, having a good comparison. Councillor Robertson, what I'm opposed to here is the process. The document has gone on public exhibition. The public have reviewed the document as a whole and responded, and now we're changing it at the 11th hour. That's what that's what I'm against here. If we were to do this to every document that's been on public exhibition, it doesn't hold water in terms of the quality of the process and what we've actually put out to the public for their feedback and comment. So doing these things at the 11th hour for me is wrong. If this needed to be changed, it could have been a submission that was already put forward at the time of public exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just add, please, that I believe...
Do you want it? We might just wait until everyone else has spoken, and then you can have a right of reply. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Armidale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does it affect where we're going, our trajectory, the data? Would it help, not help, or neutral?
It helps inform, and we have an obligation to report to the community on whether we've arrived and how we've progressed against our targets. So it helps the community understand how we're performing.
Sorry, the amendment, the additional data that Councillor Robinson is seeking.
Sorry, I thought you meant the data generally. No. This data is all available, as Councillor Robinson said, in annual reports. So I guess this would be bringing some of that data all into the community plan in one spot.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak to this? Councillor Robinson, your right of reply. Oh, sorry, Councillor Redwood, I didn't see your red.
Sorry, a little invisible here.
Straight in front.
From my point of view, it goes back to my question that I asked before, is what impact does this have? How much extra time is this going to take? Have you got something else that someone could be doing in the team more meaningful than going through and trawling, this data up for, for this particular request. From my point of view, I think there's plenty of things that could be done better. I think we know, if yes, the data exists, but it's going to have to be, as you said, we're going to have to go around looking for it everywhere. I don't support it.
Yes, so we've had the document finalised through graphic designers and everything ready to put out to the public. So this would require backtracking, doing some additional work in the team, and then having that document edited and reproduced again. Yes.
Thank you. All right, councillors.
Which was basically, this idea came actually from one of the submissions, so it was suggested in one of the submissions, and that's why I thought, and it does seem to be a really good idea.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Ahmed, no cross chat. All right, councillors, if there's no other points to discuss. Where's the amendment? Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. What we're voting on now is whether to accept the amendment. If that gets up, then that becomes the motion, and we're away. So all those in favour? All those against? 3, 4. I declare that lost. 4, 3. So we'll go. Sorry. So again, so for it was Councillors McMichael, Robinson, and Copeland, and against was Taylor, Gadders, Redwood, and IMAT, and Endres. Sorry. So that's 5, 3. Thank you. Visible. All right. So that is lost. So, councillors, we now revert to the original motion as moved by Councillor Gadders, seconded by Councillor Redwood. Both have spoken to that. Do any other councillors wish to speak? All right, Councillor Gadders, any need for a right of reply? Terrific. All right, councillors, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Which brings us to item 11.1, which is the relates to the Fairview Estate drainage. So this is council land that was required to be purchased in the Fairview Estate to remediate drainage of the entire development. So specifically, this item is seeking council's endorsement to classify the block at 6 Lane Close as operational land following a period of public exhibition. We have details on page 26 of the agenda. Can I have a mover this motion, please? Thanks, Councillor Imad, seconded by Councillor Redwood. Councillor Imad, anything to say in this regard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's great that we're fixing the problem there and put it behind us, so we don't have to see much of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Redwood?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak? All right. Sorry, Councillor McMichael.
Just that council is once again organising something that needs to have been fixed earlier, and it's great that we are being proactive about fixing an issue, and terrific.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor McMichael. All right, councillors, let's put this to a vote. All those in favour? Thanks. I declare that one carried unanimously. And there are no notices of motion, so we now go to the committee reports. There's one committee report, and that's from the Traffic Advisory Committee in relation to their meeting of the 4th of March 2025. So where council's being asked to note the minutes as well as endorse a number of road closures to facilitate events. So could I have a mover, please, which will be Councillor McMichael, then we'll get a seconder, and then we'll have it seconded by Councillor Gadders. Councillor McMichael, would you like just to speak about what's in that report?
The Autumn Festival is coming up, It's on in a couple of weekends, and there's lots of fantastic events coming up, including some new music on Friday night, some craft activities for kids, which will be awesome for a week, and so the new parade time of midday. I hope everyone is turning up. Some of the councillors will be in cars at the beginning of the parade, and float applications closed at the beginning of the week, and we have a large number of floats, which is terrific. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope everyone is too. So other than that, it's been good to have everyone's assistance with signs and events with the traffic committee, and it's been great.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak about the items there? Councillor Gadders.
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, I know it's a tenuous link, but referring back to the minutes of this particular item, of the last traffic committee, we mentioned the Ulysses Club National Rally. So I'm sure they're all out there watching us at the moment, but welcome to the Ulysses folks that are in town currently and for the big event this weekend for the National Rally. And thank you very much to the Traffic Advisory for clearing the way for them.
Well done grabbing that link, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Redwood.
I'm grabbing no link here to the minutes, but just as a note that the issue that's been raised to us at Black Mountain is still a discussion behind the scenes of the Traffic Committee and Transport for New South Wales, so not a forgotten thing in case someone's listening or watching.
Terrific. Thanks, Councillor Redwood. All right, councillors, all those in favour of noting the minutes and endorsing the various road closures for what's on the screen, thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Councillors, that brings us to the end of the open session of this council meeting. Can I have a motion, please, a mover to move us into close? Thanks, Al. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor McMichael. All those in favour of moving into closed session? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Yeah. Councillors and staff, welcome back into the open session of council. I would like to ask the General Manager to read out the resolutions that were made in the closed session, and I'll just get something to him.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Item 15.1, the former New England Weeds Authority property at 21 Waller Avenue. Resolved by Council that Council notes that in the absence of a sale, ownership of the property located at 21 Waller Avenue, Armidale, will be transferred to the constituent councils following dissolution of the New England County Council by proclamation made by the Minister for Local Government pursuant to section 3832 of the Local Government Act 1993. 2. Notes that in the absence of a sale, the property will be owned as tenants in common by each constituent council that previously contributed to the New England County Council in the following shares: Uralla Shire 18%, Walker Shire 18%, Glen Innes 7 Council 22%, and Armidale Regional Council 42%. 3. Resolves that the property located at 21 Waller Avenue, Armidale, be classified as operational land under Section 31 of the Local Government Act 1993. 4. The Council formally makes an offer to purchase the property located at 21 Waller Avenue, Armidale, for the sum of $1.6 million. 5. Subject to having its offer accepted, Council places the proposed purchase in the draft 25-26 operational budget for public exhibition. 6. The Council includes in its draft 25-26 operational budget a provision to seek borrowings of $1.6 million to fund the purchase of 21 Waller Avenue, Armidale. 7. The Council seeks a delay in the proposed lease arrangements negotiated by the Administrator on behalf of the Minister and the constituent councils, whilst member councils consider the offer to purchase. And 8. The Council authorises the General Manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documentation to effect the acquisition of the property, including but not limited to transfer documents and any other ancillary agreements. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Item 15.2, the National Water Grid 2025 Expression of Interest. Resolved by Council that Council note the expression of interest submitted on 27 February 2025, and B, Council endorse an application for funding if successful in the EOI process. And item 15.3. Item 15.3, the installation of replacement ozone generator units at the Armidale Water Treatment Plant. It was resolved by Council that Council approve a contract to the Indy Group to project manage and undertake the installation of 3 new ozone generator units purchased from Xylem. B, Council approve the engagement of GlobeTech Proprietary Limited for technical assistance, component upgrades and integration activities related to the installation works. C, endorse the procurement strategy in regard to the Indy Group and GlobeTech Proprietary Limited under Section 55.3.1 of the Local Government Act 1993, that an exception to the Act as endorsed for this contract were because of extenuating circumstances, remoteness of locality, or the unavailability of competitive or reliable tenders, a satisfactory result would not be achieved by inviting tenderers. D, approve and release $800,000 excluding GST from the Water Reserve to cover the cost of items A and B. And E, delegate authority to the General Manager to approve expenditure for the project up to the upper limit of the contract. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Councillors, that brings to a close this ordinary council meeting, and I declare it closed at 5:11 p.m. Thank you all very much for your time, your contribution and your input.